know what Barbershop P do, pick a side. And LG, he do the same too, pick a side. In Stack City, he gon' need you, pick a side. Who are we? Pick a side. Who are you? Pick a side. You know what Barbershop P do, pick a side. And LG, he do the same too, pick a side. In Stack City, he gon' need you, pick a side. Who are we? Pick a side. Who are you? Pick a side.
Hoodlamb, Hoodlamb Apparel.
Pick a side. It's mandatory.
It's mandatory. I was waiting on it.
Hey, get off my Zoom.
How's your Zoom? I got the end button. What's good? It's your boy Stack City, and we back with another episode of Pick a Side. As usual, I got my boy Barbershop P, and as usual, I got my boy LG. Hey, listen, you can't be Duke and Carolina. You can't be the West Coast and the East Coast. You can't be the Yankees and the Red Sox. LG, tell them what they got to do.
Pick a side.
Gots to. You have to. And why do they have to, BP? Tell them why they have to.
It's mandatory.
It's mandatory. It's mandatory. Y'all know what it is. All right. Got a question for you, fellas. Y'all don't know this question ahead of time. All right, so you answering right here off the top of your head. This is gonna be more of a conversation than an actual debate, back and forth debate. All right, so we're switching it up a little bit. And we're taking it deep a little bit. All right. So several weeks ago, I listened to this show by Ronald Smith, aka DJ Ronnie Ron. All right, he's a well-known CHH Christian hip hop DJ in North Carolina and Virginia. All right, and he has this show called Critical Dialogue. So shout out to DJ Ronnie Ron, first DJ that ever played one of my records on the radio. Shout out to his show, Critical Dialogue. You can look him up on Facebook or IG or whatever the case may be. And the topic for the particular show that I saw several weeks ago was called Fame and the Gospel. All right. Within that episode, it was a guy who was either a pastor or a bishop. I can't remember which one. But what he said was, he basically said that for the Christian, and I'm paraphrasing, for the Christian that is rich or that is chasing wealth, all right, he said at some point, money is going to challenge your allegiance to God. Like when you're rich, when you got a lot of money, at some point, your money is going to challenge your allegiance to God. All right. We also know that we're called to be Christ-like. All right. But Jesus wasn't a man of means. He wasn't a rich man. All right. Now, I'm not saying that we should be walking around desiring to be poor and broke. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm getting to a point. The Bible also says in places like 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. We've all heard that before. For the love of money is the root of all evil. So my question for you fellas is, and whoever wants to go first can go first. Should the Christian, should the believer, should men and women of God, should we be chasing or desiring to be rich? Is it possible to desire wealth, desire riches, desire to be rich? All right, not to be able to make it by, but is it possible for the Christian to desire to be rich, right, and still be faithful to God? Like, is it possible? Is that something we should be chasing as Christians? You know, riches. Is it possible to balance both? Now, none of the three of us are billionaires or millionaires, so we haven't actually been in that position before. But if, let's say, we're billionaires or millionaires, like, is it possible to desire and want that and still, like, put God at the forefront of what we're doing? Or is the desire of money going to challenge your allegiance to God to the point where you can't really, it's going to be hard to do both, to have both? The floor is yours.
Man. What LG say? Commas after my commas. Commas after my commas. Hey, man, listen. We live in a capitalist society, bro. You need money to make it. You need money to do everything in this world that people that you say the rich or whatever to attain, that they put on TV and they flown in front of your face. So you need money. The problem comes in with what you just said, the love of money. When you love money and you strive after money, you strive after the bag and you chase the bag harder than you chase God, that's an issue. You should have no false idols. Money is a false idol. Loving food too much is a false idol. There's a lot of false idols out here that people might not realize. And that's where the problem comes in. But it's also an issue of we don't live by God no more. We live by the world. And the world tells you need money. The world tells you need to be rich. The world tells you can't get that woman that you want unless you making these type of figures and you can buy a bag. And, like it's such a complete dynamic shift with social media and everything. And God's not in none of that. His influence is not in none of that. Yeah, you have Christians and stuff that's on these sites to try to push a certain message, but we all know what's getting pushed out here. And that's where I think the hard part comes in. Because it's pastors out here with mega churches and stuff, and I'm pretty sure they're not really, hurt for nothing. Like, I like, guys like TD Jakes and all them guys. And I'm not counting their pockets, but I don't think they're hurting for nothing. But I don't think they love money more than they love God. And I feel like if you chase God, then the money is gonna come. Like when you chase God and you really on that level, He's gonna supply you with everything you need. You're not gonna want for money. Like the Bible clearly tells you that. Like money is like we're not supposed to be worried about money. Like money is at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to like just issues of life. But the world makes money a top issue because look at the homelessness. Look at people out here working for minimum wage and struggling. There's people working 3 and 4 jobs and barely making ends meet. And that's where the dynamic comes in. But I feel like it's not enough people chasing God. Because if it was, a lot of people wouldn't be in the position that they're in. And a lot of people say, well, I believe in God and I do this and I do that. But it's like it's like they say, the age-old saying, faith without works is dead. Yeah, you can say you believe in everything, but are you really striving? Are you really trying to have that relationship? Are you really studying and learning and reading the word and getting your own interpretation? And that's where a lot of the confusion comes in, man. And that's where you got to be able to separate yourself from the world. Like, I've always been proud of the fact that I never was kind of the follow along type guy. I'm the guy that, I might be over here by myself and the crowd comes to me. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to brag or anything, but it's like I've always been able to step outside the box. Because, man, as Black kids, young Black kids especially, or even adults, like people look at you funny when you talk about God, bro. Like, especially when you're in an era of hip hop and the things that we into, like, it's like you talk about God, people be like, oh man, like, oh, people like they can't even hang out with you. He all churchy and stuff. And I was like, bro, I'm still a human. Like, I'm still regular. I might not dibble and dabble in everything that I once did before, I knew all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm a person, bro. It's just like when people put pastors and stuff on pedestals, they're still regular people. It's your perception of them that makes you feel a certain type of way, or something that you're not doing to make you want to back away from them. But God clearly move people out the way that don't need to be in your circle when you are striving for Him. So, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like you can be rich and you still love God, but it's when you love money more than Him and you start striving for that money more than you're striving after His grace and mercy. And that's where the issue comes in, because we live by the world and we don't live by God. So that's kind of my spill on it.
So let me ask you this question based on something you just said. You said a few minutes ago, just so you can clear up what you mean by it. You said if you chase God, the money will come. So are you saying like God will provide for you, or are you saying like you shouldn't be poor, like and chase God?
He will provide for you. So in turn, you shouldn't be poor. And I feel like what I'm about to say, and I feel like I said, like that's money is not a thing that like God even wants to be on your issue on your plate. So if you're really doing what you're supposed to do and, really out here, striving, like, I just feel like He's not going to let you down. Like, I'm not the most churchy person or whatever, but I do have a relationship. And I always tell y'all, I know my thing, relationship or religion. And I just feel like when I know God, I always say God is real. And it's like, I've seen some incredible things happen. We've all witnessed something that happened. And we were like, boy, I'm lucky. You're not lucky, bro. That's God's grace. No such thing as love. Like He had your back. So with that being said, I just feel like if you really striving for Him and that's what you're really after, He's not going to leave you lacking if that's truly what you want. But don't get it twisted. God will test you. You read the Bible. God will test you. He tested some of His most devout followers. But it's all about how you take on that challenge.
Like Job, he allowed it to happen. He'll allow stuff to
Exactly.
happen. He'll allow stuff to happen in your life that's going to really like test your faith and your allegiance to him.
Yeah, exactly.
LG, what about you?
So you asking if it's okay to be, can we love God and be rich? Is that the question?
Is it okay to chase riches, to desire riches, right?
No, I don't.
And still have God at the forefront.
When we say chase, that makes me think that I don't think there's nothing wrong with being rich, but like P say, I think it's a problem when you make that the priority. When you prefer chasing riches before chasing God. You know what I'm saying? So like if you go on harder for the money than you are for God, that's when it's an issue, I think.
Let me ask you a follow. Let me ask you a follow-up. Can I ask you a follow-up?
Yeah.
All right. Just, I know you're a man of God, with your background and everything like that. So let me ask you this. How do you know? Because I imagine it can be tricky sometimes. How do you know you're chasing money more than you're chasing God if you're a Christian who's not intentionally trying to do that?
If you're intentionally not trying to do that?
Like if you're a Christian who's not necessarily intentionally trying to chase money more than we chase God, because we know stuff can happen over time and we realize like, how did I get here? Like in a bad place. Because little by little, we got there. So like if you're a Christian who doesn't necessarily seek to put money above God, like, but it's happening and you don't really realize it. Like, how do you know that? How do you know? How do you know, like, what are warning signs that could possibly let you know that, hey, maybe I'm putting money before I put God, like ahead of God?
Actions.
Okay.
Your actions. Like, I think if you start moving in a way where, like, if you wake up, I Snoop got that line, I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind. Like, if you wake up in this money, you go to bed in this money, and all of your motives and your intentions and your ideas is all about how can I get that bag. And as that's happening, your conversation and your prayer and your time in the word is decreasing. Yeah. That's what I think is a problem. Now, if you're seeking God and you just living life and God just happened to drop a bag here and drop a bag there, I think that's cool because that's like you allowing God to lead you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But if you wake it up and you prefer getting that bag over anything else, I think that's when that scripture comes in when it says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil."
Not necessarily even preferring. I think what you're trying to say, like, correct me if I'm wrong, not even preferring to get the bag, but you find your mind more occupied with getting that bag than getting that God.
Like Steve said, like life happens. Life throws curveballs at you. So, you might get caught up in work. We get caught up. We do it. You get caught up in work. You might get caught up in school. You might get caught up in cutting hair. Or I want this, like, I want to start my own business and have my own building and all of this. Like, it's so much different things that can kind of throw you off and distract you that can be quote unquote devils to get in your way and, stop you from being able to really keep that connection up. So in the midst of that, you really gotta like seek God. But sometimes I wake up in the morning and first thing I think about, I'm about to go brush my teeth, blah, blah, shower, stretch, and I'm like, dang, I ain't even prayed yet. So then and there, I'll start praying. You know what I'm saying? Like, like throughout the day, I might cut, like I have a good day where I cut 10 plus hairs on like a Wednesday, which is, which is good for it. It's crazy. If you're a barber, like, and you be like, man, that I'm doing this. And it's like, dang, hold on, man. I thank God for this. It's like, even when people hit me up with pick a side, it's like, man, y'all doing this. I'm like, bro, I praise God. You know what I'm saying? And we get caught up in that too much. Like, we're prideful. Like, we're prideful people, and that's just, it's human nature. So I think that's what Stack was saying, like, letting stuff unintentionally get in your way, as far as you was focusing on something so hard and you want it so bad, but the person that can get that to you with the snap of a finger is right then and there. Like, I was watching the TDJ sermon and he was saying, leap into, he said, I can't remember exactly, but he was basically saying, leap into your destiny. Like, you don't even know what God got for you. It might be so powerful. Like, you thinking on a whole nother level and then God hit you with a blessing that's out of this world, and you like, man, what in the world? You know what I'm saying? Like, so as long as you keeping that connection and you staying focused and you keep him first, man, I think anything's possible. And it sounds cliche, but man, I've seen some amazing stuff, man. You can't tell me God not real.
And I think the main thing is though, is when we pick a side in your life, just make sure you picking Jesus, the side of Jesus, because it doesn't matter what level of money you on, because there's poor, right? Then there's paycheck to paycheck. Then there's financial freedom where you're not rich, but you're not paycheck to paycheck. And then there's rich, you know what I'm saying? But all of those levels are going to have their struggles, their trials, their tribulations, their problems, their hard times. So as long as you picking Jesus first in the mix, then I think everybody be good.
Yeah,
it's when we prioritize what the world says is success and what the world like the world is why we be wanting to get rich. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like what we see and
social
like,
media.
You know what I'm saying? A certain style of life. You know what I'm saying? But if you like, for example, I think if you say, if you say, God, I want riches because I want to be able to bless my grandmother who never had nothing. Or God, I want to be in a position where I can make money so that, my kids can have a better upbringing than me. Or so I can put some of these homeless people in a home. See, that's a different, you know what I'm saying? That's a different mindset as far as wanting to make money versus like, I want money so I can just show off my furs and my whips and like,
even with that mindset, like in my mind, even with that mindset, when I do pray like in that fashion, I'll even end that aspect of my prayer with like, but not my will be done, but your will be done.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like, I think what P said earlier is key. Like he'll provide for you that in such a way that you're not lacking, right? That doesn't mean every Christian is going to be rich. It's going to be some Christians that are pretty good, but they're not rich. And then there's going to be some Christians that are paycheck to paycheck. And then there's going to be some Christians that by the world standards, they're poor. All right. But that's the key, the world standards. We can't let the world standards define what rich versus poor is. We cannot have a lot of money by the world standards, but still be rich by God's standards, rich in the eyes of God, rich in his grace and in his mercy and his love and his forgiveness. And, rich by the things that mean the most.
That's not worldly.
Yeah, that's not worldly. Storing up our treasures up in heaven. You know what I mean? Like when we die, we can't take that money with us. Sure, we can pass it on to our kids. We can pass it on to our kids, but they're going to die. You know what I mean? And they can pass it on to their kids, but they're going to die. So like, at some point, it becomes like all meaningless if we don't have like more than just financial riches that we can leave behind. That's why I prioritize leaving a legacy that's rooted and grounded in Christian principles. You know what I mean? So if I can't leave my daughter $10 million, if I can only leave her $10,000, you know what? She's still rooted and grounded in principles that, she might not be rich by the world standards based on what I left her, but she's rich in the eyes of God because of those standards, those principles, those values that I've ingrained in her. But at the same time, she's still gonna have to choose God on her own. I can't make her love God. So as much, and even on pick a side, as much as we fuss and fight, at the end of the day, like a big part of it is like we want to show you 100% authentic us, because we're gonna do episodes where we yell and fuss and get on each other's nerves, but then we're gonna do episodes like this too, where we bring it back home and let you know like what the priority is. The main thing is the main thing, and the main thing is God, Jesus Christ, and being a believer. So like I don't want what we do on other episodes to distract people from the fact that we still 3 men of God. We still like trying to leave a legacy that okay, while it might include money, if that's God's will for our life, we wanted to go way beyond money.
I'm gonna tell you this: if it's God's will for me to have them zeros, amen.
Yeah, amen. Hey, I hear that.
No, but both of y'all talking made me think about my boy Nas, man. And both of y'all said something where he said rich men tried and died, but none of it paid. They just robbed your grave. You know, like you can't take it with you, bro. Like no matter what you do, no matter how hard. And there's something City said made me think about Nat Man verse that he had recited when he had Nat Man on it. That man said, "I'm screaming praise Jesus to the top of my lungs on stage, and I come home with my water off." That's powerful, bro. But you gotta have that type of faith, bro. You gotta be that strong of a believer, bro. Because life will test you. Life will test you.
Yeah.
Whoever's watching this out there, life gonna test you. Young, old, it don't matter. That's our biggest obstacle. It's gonna test you. But keep God first, and He's gonna guide you where you're supposed to go.
And we're not trying to discourage anybody not to get money, because we understand you gotta have money to make it.
You gotta have money
to make
we live
to make
in a
ends
capitalist
meet.
society.
We're just saying don't love it first. That's all. Let God's will be done.
Right. That's a great way to end it. Did we already do the Hoodlamb?
There you go. Ron Stop, Hoodlamb Apparel, IG. Y'all know what it is.
Yep, they ship all over the country. All over the country. Hoodlamb. Shout out to my man Ron Stop, another man of God. You know what I mean? A man of God with his own clothing brand. And it's dope too. You know, it do what we do. Dope. It mix culture, you know, with Christian principles. You know, so go support
you can
that
be cool
man.
and love God.
You can. You most definitely can. You know what I mean? Look at my boy Barbershop P. Yeah, look at my boy LG. Yeah, you can.
Yes, sir.
But anyway,
City. You know what I'm saying?
I try. You know.
Yes,
I try.
Young OGs out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what's good though? Anybody else want to say anything before we close out?
Pick a side.
It's mandatory.
It's mandatory.
It's mandatory. See y'all next time.
Love y'all.